Well, a couple things. When people do tell-all books, I'd prefer that they tell us all what they accomplished in those positions. So I've known John for a long time, served alongside of him in the White House for all 17 months he was there. And much of this national security accomplishments that happened, and there are many in the Donald Trump presidency, happened before he got there or after he left. The capture of al-Baghdadi, Soleimani, sanctioning the ICC, getting the Afghan troop withdrawal down to almost a half, and with the target, I talked to our national security administrator today, or director today, Ambassador Robert O'Brien, said we'll probably get to zero by May of 2021. So many of these things have happened since he's gone. And I like when people tell us all that they accomplished. I also would point out, and others have done this, that Ambassador Bolton, John Bolton, had many nice things to say about the president complimentary, but I think the one that's most important to some of the allegations in his book is what he said in the White House briefing room. He said, quote, since January 2017, President Trump has taken decisive action against election meddling and interference. In his book, he claims that the president is asking President Xi to help him win farmers in the Midwest. This makes no sense. I personally have had private meetings with John Bolton where we've discussed Chinese fentanyl, for example, since I run the drug crisis at the White House. And he never said to me, gee, Kellyanne, we have a problem with getting the Chinese fentanyl analog scheduled as President Xi has promised, because after all, President Trump is asking to help in the election. So some of this smacks people as brand new information and false as well. I know you're interviewing him next week, and I would just remind you that, and everybody who's watching, that Bolton aside, these books are never fact-checked. So you interviewed James Comey in December of 2019 or 2018, and he lied to you. He lied to you, and you called him on it. And does anybody believe that the president asked President Xi to help him win the election? It's so ridiculous. In fact, Ambassador Lighthizer was asked it with no warning yesterday by Senator Menendez in a hearing about other issues, and Ambassador Lighthizer was under oath and immediately spontaneously said, never happened, I was there.
And we played that soundbite.
So Ambassador Lighthizer is saying, this is in the room where it didn't happen. So I think, look, there are a lot of books out there that turn out to have tremendous falsities. I don't know why these books aren't fact-checked. Even names are wrong, dates are wrong. Sometimes quotes are attributed to somebody positively and somebody else said it, they weren't even there. So I'm glad you'll have a chance to interview him. I think that's important. I think the Department of Justice has made clear it's unusual to release a book like this while people that you work with are still doing their jobs and while the president is still in office. That's the unusual part.
John Bolton is a longtime foreign policy hawk. He is ill-tempered. He is very much a loner. He's never been regarded as a particularly good manager.
Big lie Bolton, it's book deal Bolton. He's doing it for the money. That's pretty clear.
By all accounts, this is not a well-written book, and I'm not saying that out of schadenfreude, because I'm an author myself, and I think all writers should find their paydays if they can. But I think they should do that with principle and not opportunistically and not against the public goal.
If he wrote a book, and if the book gets out, he's broken the law.
Right now, the public is endlessly fascinated with, I think, the chaos, the direction, and I think some of the dangers of the Trump administration. There's a broad swath of readers across the country that want to know more. I mean, it's important to remember very few books sell well. There's been some books that have come out of the Trump administration that haven't done well. There's nothing really new in Bolton's book. It's in keeping with everything we've learned over the last few years about this presidency. The specifics in the book are important. Trump suggested to Xi that he would support concentration camps for the Uyghur population in China. Trump also told, apparently, according to Bolton, Erdogan, the president of Turkey, that he would interfere with an investigation of a state-owned bank. You know, I think the level of fascination with Donald Trump has been so high